Hey MMT followers, Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology and a quick MMT chat. My guests today, I have a crew here today, are Jason Murphy, Chris Kaminsky, John Harding, and Jason Sparks. The four of them, or these groups, got together to kind of form a coalition of sorts to produce a face shield to help fight in the COVID-19 fight. So to kind of get a sense of how this project came together, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself and what company you're with, and then we'll get into the details.
All right, well, I'm Jason Murphy. I'm with Next Chapter Manufacturing, and I'm the one that kind of spearheaded this project and took it over from 3D printing into the molding side.
My name's Chris Kaminsky. So background mechanical engineering. I run Lakeshore Fab Lab with Muskegon Community College, and I just kind of started the 3D printing process at home and connected with others doing the same.
Okay, my name's John Harding. I'm the National Sales Manager with PCS Company, and I got involved when Jason Murphy gave me a call to talk about getting some products and components for this project.
Jason Sparks, General Manager at Concept Molds. I was brought into this again by Jason Murphy, as he mentioned, the spearheader of this. He contacted me via email and asked if I had interest in doing some machining and assembly of this base, and I said absolutely. Just let me know how to start.
That's awesome. So Jason Murphy seems to be the ringleader, I'll call him. But I will say it was Jason Sparks who posted something on LinkedIn using social media that got me to connect with him. So it's kind of neat that how it all starts, and then he reached out and you reached out. Next thing you know, I'm understanding the full scope of who was involved in this project. So Jason Murphy, how about we start with you, because talk about the genesis of this for you and how this all got kick-started.
Yeah, so I worked with Chris in the past, and we know each other from the 3D printing community. We 3D print tooling. And Chris is involved with the Fab Lab, so the maker community. Once this need for the face shields took off and the demand from all over West Michigan and then expanding into Michigan across the nation became really real, we said, hey, look, we need a mold built. So he reached out to me. I says, look, I'll reach out to my community and contact some people. And that's how it really went from 3D printing into a mold. And what that did was that gave us the capacity to go from several hundred a day to several thousands a day. So that's where we get scale from.
Got it. All right. So Chris, how did you from your perspective, how did this, what's your take on it?
So it's been a little bit like herding cats. So there's in West Michigan alone, there was probably 3 or 4 separate groups that were doing the 3D printing of shields like this.
Right.
And connecting those groups and connecting people kind of like from like the aspect of the Fab Lab, it's kind of a community space. So like pretty much all the people that have been vital to this operation I've met via running that community kind of space, and everybody just wants to help out. So trying to find the right people, at the right times has been pretty vital.
So where are you right now, the fact that you're geared up?
So I am at Hybrid Machining in Holland, Michigan. So this is Jeff Robinson, his facility, and he had just started this business. So there wasn't a lot of big equipment in here. So big open space, we can set up some sanitation lines and packaging lines. So he kind of offered this space early on and said, hey, I got the space, you want to use it? And nice. So this has kind of been our drop-off hub where we process the orders.
Okay. So when did PCS and when did people, actually it probably would have been Concept Molds, right, first, and then you kind of got what you needed from PCS. So talk about that, Jason Sparks.
Yeah, so again, once Jason Murphy contacted me and asked if we had interest in doing this, and I said yes, I kind of started myself. I looked at the design, came up with just a quick layout, came up with a base size, looked at the part design, how can we get this through the shop really quickly without having to rely on electrodes and cutting of electrodes and EDM machining. How can we just call this just a true CNC job? Once we had the part design final and I just kind of had it around a base size, I let Jason Murphy know, who went back to PCS as they were playing their part of getting the base to us. They also supplied us ejector pins. And once I, again, gave them mold base size, gave them ejector pins and quantities, and that here it was on our doorstep, and it was ours to move it forward. So
John, how did you answer the call?
Well, yeah, Jason Murphy had given me sent me an email and asked him to give him a call, and we talked about what his project was, and as the group had gotten together and was putting together this project to fulfill a medical need given the current crisis. So we were more than happy at PCS to donate the mold base and components and get them out to concept.
So what was the lead time on this? Once the mold was commissioned, you had the design. How much time did you have to do this?
Well, we hit the mold base hit our floor on Friday, March 3rd at about 1 p.m. and Jason Murphy left here with it on Friday, April 10th, about 8:30 a.m.
Yep.
So just under 1 week completely, but yeah.
One day to get the base. So we had the base PCS shipped out the next day to get the base, and that hit their door the following day. So yeah, very, very short lead time.
So how does that compare, Jason, for concept molds in terms of what you would do? And I know this is extraordinary times, right? It's not maybe the typical complexity you're dealing with molds, but still, like how did you achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in standard times, a mold like this, even given not a huge level of complexity, would have maybe been 3 to 4 weeks. So to get it through in 1 week obviously did take a little bit of upfront planning. It kind of helped. I guess we're not terribly busy right now. Not that played into it a whole lot. Our design department is pretty busy right now. I didn't really want to interrupt them, so I actually did as much of the design myself as I could, given that's more of my background. So I was able to kind of work it into my schedule throughout the week, go back and forth with Jason Murphy and part design and again base layouts, and have everything ready and say, all right, here's the design, let's get it in and let's go. And from there it was just really a matter of telling the guys in the shop, giving them here's what we're doing, here's our chance to do something positive in the midst of all this negativity. Let's make this happen as absolutely quickly as we possibly can. And it took a lot of planning. What's that?
That became priority number one at a certain point.
Yeah. And we still had,
How many people at Concept Molds?
24 people altogether.
Okay.
And there were primarily 5 people, including myself, on this. So myself as the designer, roughing CNC, finish CNC, lead mold maker, and a polisher were the 5 people that basically touched this as it went through.
What was the biggest challenge?
Honestly, I think given how positive of a story as this was, it really wasn't even a challenge. It was just a matter of saying, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it. And from there, I mean, it almost felt like it did itself just because of what it was for.
Wow. So the whole mentality of it, the whole mission and motivation kind of, that's awesome. And that's what it's all about, right? Coming together and getting done. Now, speaking of like the part design and the mold design, I'm hearing a lot, like there's a lot of people building these things. Is there any sharing going on of files so you don't have to recreate the wheel each time?
Yeah,
so I can kind of speak.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so a mutual contact of mine, again, from like the maker community, a guy that runs, Luke Hedman runs the Ferris Makerspace at Ferris, and also plastic technology, stuff like that. Anyway, so he reached out to me. He's like, hey, you're doing this, right? I just was reached out to by the Ann Arbor group, Operation Face Shield, and your design seems a lot more conducive to injection molding than the one they're doing. So he shared it with them, our design, and they're like, oh yeah, let's do it, because from his perspective, he was like, we need to consolidate. So like there's not, 100 different versions, for the clear plastic. So if somebody needs that clear plastic, the chance that they can get another one cut would be a lot better if they standardize the design. So yeah,
Exactly.
there is that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and that was that design that we adapted that off of was a kind of again, a community shared design in the 3D printing world. When we looked at it, it wasn't very conducive to rapid cycle time. So we did modify it. We thinned it up a lot that we could rib it and make it more optimized for molding, and then also with the consideration that simplicity of machining everything, no electrodes, no burning, the least amount of operations, so it can get into one mill, be roughed and then finished, start to finish, and not have a bunch of different operations that it has to go through. So that refinement probably was the biggest challenge of this project was just get a optimized design. And then I think the other mentality was let's not make it perfect, it just needs to be better so that we can run a good cycle time and get these things done. So kind of working within the time constraint also was a big factor as well.
Yeah, I was actually just looking back at my design file and looked like that part model that was sent was version 6. So
Yeah.
it took a few renditions to get it just right to where we could get this done.
And what time frame was that? The different design renditions?
That was like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I find it interesting when you talk about refinements and optimizing the design and trying to eliminate processes. Are you learning that is something that you could be applying to other work that you do? Is there things being revealed that you're like, you know what, we always do that, maybe we don't need to do that moving forward?
Absolutely, from concept side, yeah. I mean, that's one thing I kind of wanted everyone here to look at and see what are some lessons learned in this that we can take away on every job. Maybe not every job, but let's say a lot of them. How many jobs do we maybe not look at up front and say, boy, if we change this area that doesn't really matter, does it make it easier? Does it make it go through quicker? Does it make for a better part in the end? So what did we learn on this that we can apply every day?
Yeah.
I think they're going to be the cool stories. After this is all said and done, talking to all these shops that have done these projects in these accelerated timeframes, it's like, what did you learn that you can apply now?
Yeah.
Right.
Jason Murphy, what did you, go ahead,
the
Jason.
designers. It goes back to the design as well, so working up front with the designers to say, hey, look, let's get this right up front before it goes into cutting steel was very critical.
Was there any simulation done?
We talked about that, but here again, it's like how I think common sense has to prevail. So again, our experience in the industry that we can run mold flow and simulation and things like that, but good old common sense. Hey, this is the best way to gate it. We did have a couple discussions in our design review of like, hey, should we gate it here, gate it there? What does that do to the flow? This is polypropylene, so pretty free flowing. And the part design is again very forgiving, so not a lot of challenge there. So yeah, just good old common sense was applied.
Tried and true. Did you learn anything about 3D printing? Because we have the other publication, additive manufacturing. So obviously that technology was very appropriate, right, at a certain point. And then it was like, it couldn't stand up to just the sheer quantity that was needed, so people were going to the molding. But did you learn something? I mean, a lot of times people talk about 3D printing, that's the future of 3D printing. You shouldn't need to be printing parts, right? Or 3D printing the tool instead of making a mold the traditional way. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I've learned that there's still a huge gap because I'm the one of the emails for the tech support for our group of over 400 printers. So
Oh,
if
wow.
I'm a little slow at getting back in emails right now, that's because I'm helping people debunk printers. So it's definitely not a plug and play quite yet.
That's right. How about PCS, John? Did you learn anything through this project with the whole crew?
Well, I think, what we've seen is, our manufacturing team came together. We've had a number of different requests for componentry and mold bases throughout Michigan and actually throughout the country. And I think, we've been able to be a little bit more flexible, being able to mix and match plate thicknesses and sizes to meet the needs of the project.
Are they being made? Are they out in the field? Are people using these shields now?
Yep, they are. There's been airplanes that have flown these to Kalamazoo, Traverse City. People have driven from Detroit to come pick these things up. They're out there.
That's awesome.
Good.
So what project do you have next? Is this a one and done with this group, or is there other things growing?
Yeah, this continues to evolve. So it's amazing that, again, just being able, one of the biggest things I've just been blown away by in this project is just when you reach out to people, and just ask people that, worked with over the years, hey, look, here's the need, can you help? And I've been blown away by the amount of people that just said, yep, like, just tell me what you need. Like, no questions asked, no, like, hey, I got to think about it, I got to get back with you in a week. It's just like, yep, we're in, just tell me what you need and let's go. So that, I think, has been amazing to see. Now through this, again, just kind of voice of the customer, now with the masks, with the surgical masks that go around the ears, you're seeing a lot of like problems with, hair around the ears. Now they're 3D printing these savers, these ear savers that go around the back. Chris is actually printing those. So they actually pivoted all their printing people that were making the headbands. They pivoted over in a matter of hours to be able to start printing those. Now they said, a hospital called up here in West Michigan and said, we need 100,000 of those in the next few weeks. So obviously then it's like, okay, 3D printing will bridge that gap until we get to tooling. So now we're kicking off a tool today to build that with our network here. There's also the face shields or the face masks that are being done as well. So for replaceable filters and face masks, so those are happening as well. So we've been extremely busy, and yeah, just print. It could be printing molds. It could be just traditional subtractive CNC milling, 3D printing. So I think everything comes together to go, hey, look, we got to feed the market and meet the demand. And we're just pulling out all the stops to make it happen.
I think industry, it doesn't surprise me. I feel like the manufacturing and mold manufacturing, as long as I've known, it comes together and just gets stuff done. But I think it's a great opportunity where telling stories like this is shining a light on what we can do in Canada and the United States. There's no need to go other places. What you guys are achieving and the time you're doing it and how you're doing it together, I think needs to be told, needs to be shown. You don't need to go there. We can do it here. And there's going to be this, once we get over this hump, I think there's going to be this, I don't know, a new face of the way things are done and a new look on you guys, which I think is wonderful. So I thank you for that. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
I do have to say, to the kindness of people, like that in itself has almost been a project management.
Oh, really?
We probably had 4 or 5 plastic mold companies say, hey, we will run this part, we will run this part, and it's like, how do you choose
wow.
who to accept? Like, I'm sorry, we only have one, guys.
That's a good problem to have. It's better than the other way, right?
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Well, I want to thank you guys for your time and keep me posted on how this unfolds. I think you guys are doing a great job, and say thank you to all your teams too. And maybe there's a story we can tell in the magazine when this is all said and done also. When we are able to see each other again, maybe at some trade event, it'll be nice to shake hands. So I want to thank you again. Now, I want everybody out there to remember anything mold making, visit moldmakingtechnology.com, and please stay safe and stay healthy.